What we're going to do this afternoon here is talk about the OhioDocs product and why it might be a good idea for your firm, or no matter what size firm you have. Our goal is to give you an idea of what it's going to be like and how it can benefit your practice. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Hopefully you can all see my screen. It should be a Windows desktop, and it should have the Windows logo on the far right. If you can, you should see that we have the OhioDocs icon here on the left-hand side. And what we're going to do is just go through a little bit on the interface and then go into details about how the program actually works and why it would be useful for you in your practice. So once you install the OhioDocs program, you get the option of having an icon here on your desktop. So all I'm going to do is double-click this icon, and it'll load the OhioDocs program. Let me close a couple of these folders here, and we'll show you how it starts out straight out of the box. So if you just installed it fresh, this is what it's going to look like for you. You'll see on the right-hand side, we have some basic instructions on how the program works. And on the left-hand side, we have some file folders that should be fairly familiar icons to you. And these file folders divide up the OhioDocs program into its various practice areas. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about what practice areas we do cover with the program. You can see the labels here on the left-hand side. What we have starting out is the firm and attorney staff information. So if I were to double-click this, for example, you'll see that we're prompted to fill in a firm name, and we can put in a firm address, and you're able to have multiple addresses. So if you are a larger firm, then we would be able to, if you had multiple offices, to meet clients from different areas of a city or community. And of course, we've got an ability here to have, of course, multiple attorneys in your firm. And indeed, if they have different admissions to, say, Ohio and Michigan or Indiana or whatever, you can put their different bar admissions in here as well. The advantage of doing that, as you see when we go through some of the later documents, is that it will let you pull in that attorney information into any document that you're creating so that you don't have to retype it with each document that you create. And as I'll cover in a little bit, that is one of the fundamental advantages of document assembly systems. And it's one of the great efficiency gains that you can get with a program like OhioDocs. So as you can see, below the firm and attorney staff information, we've got the different folders that cover the different practice groups or areas of practice that we have for OhioDocs. So we've got administrative forms here that cover representing a client before, say, a state review board or a medical board, that sort of thing, if you do that. So we've got the basic forms for that. We've got domestic relations forms. The nice thing about the domestic relations set is that it covers not only some basic pleadings, it indeed covers the variations that you would find for domestic relations practices in each of Ohio's 88 counties. So you can see it's broken down by office forms, so you could do a fee agreement. For example, it's got statewide forms, those forms that are accepted throughout the state of Ohio. And then we have different pleadings that are broken down into the various types of pleadings. So you could do initial pleadings, and you would have things like your complaint and so forth. You could do, say, the worksheet. So you could do the child support worksheet, for example. And then you can, at the bottom of the domestic relations set, we have the county form. So if, for example, the first appellate district, which would be just Hamilton County, it has some unique forms in it, and those are provided there. If you're in the second district, say Montgomery County or Miami County, you would get their unique forms there. So that's one of the most powerful things about the domestic relations set, is that it's not only designed to get you through the basics of practicing, it is designed for whatever county you might have a case in. Under litigation, we have the basics of setting up a litigated matter, including even basic things like certificates of service. We've got some interrogatory forms. We've got settlement agreements and dismissal agreements, all sorts of things. We've even got a basic caption. So if you wanted a nicely set up caption and then you just want to write a motion, for summary judgment or a motion in limine or whatever, we've got it set up so you could do a nice basic litigation set. Under miscellaneous, these are a couple of documents that we didn't quite know where else to place. So we've got an equipment lease, and then we've got an operating agreement. So if you're working with an LLC and you want to set up an operating agreement, we have documents that would help you do that. Under the Office Keeper set, if you're familiar with the Office Keeper program from the Ohio State Bar, one of the things that it provides is an appendix, which is loaded with information on how to properly run a law firm, everything from setting up the law practice to getting insurance to making sure you're doing the rent right, the IOLTA accounts, all that sort of stuff. One of the functions or one of the features of the appendices are sample documents. So we've taken those sample documents and we've automated them so that if, for example, you wanted to do a confidentiality agreement or let's say an engagement letter, you could just highlight the engagement letter and then click assemble, and it will give you a set of interview questions related to completing that engagement agreement. Everything, obviously, who the client is and so forth, down to the letter information, and then you could write our office is representing you in whatever matter might be there, and you can fill out that information, and then when you click finish, you will get a complete document. We'll go into a little bit of detail about how that works in just a minute. In addition to Office Keeper, we've got Probate. The Probate set is not as extensive as the Domestic Relations set, in the sense that while the Domestic Relations set does cover the variations for Ohio's 88 counties, the Probate set is limited to the forms that are expressly approved by the Ohio Supreme Court. So if you go to the Ohio Supreme Court website and you search for probate forms, you'll see that there is a set that they have approved. We have all of those forms automated. We do not have the variations for each of Ohio's 88 probate jurisdictions, though. Under real estate, we've got a number of different divisions. We've got deeds, eviction matters, and then, of course, some leases and installment contracts and so forth. Very good set of documents for real estate. And then under the Secretary of State's forms, these are a subset of the business forms that the Secretary of State provides, and they will help you, obviously, setting up and filing the appropriate documents with the Secretary of State regarding business entities that you're creating or managing. So these are very useful in that matter. Let's talk a bit about having seen sort of the broad strokes of content. If we go to the OhioDocs website, which is just, I'm going to go ahead and fire up Chrome here, and we'll go to the website, which if you want to take a look later, it's ohiobar.org/OhioDocs. So let me go ahead and bring that up here. And so we'll go ohiobar.org/OhioDocs. Oops, if I could type. There we go. So when it comes up here, you'll see it gives you a brief description of what OhioDocs is, and it talks a little bit about how it works. The interesting thing to take a look at for purposes of what we just covered as far as what documents might be available in the system is over on the right-hand side here, you take a look at the list of forms. If we click on list of forms, you'll see, for example, that this list was current as of April, which was our last major release. We've done a new release in July that had some bug fixes, and it was the start of a new subscription year, and I'll cover the subscription in just a moment here. But you see, this is a live document. So, for example, you wanted to see under probate what particular estate matters we had. You could click on that, and you see that you get the estate administration, and it scrolls down. You could see what the available probate forms were, for example. So again, ohiobar.org/OhioDocs gives you an idea of what's available in the system. And you can see if the particular documents that you're interested or need to use for your practice are available. And again, we're always open to suggestions of what to add to the system. You might ask how we selected what documents are available, and you can see from the extensive list that there are quite a few. Documents that are in the system now were selected by an advisory committee of the OSBA, and it has members that work to identify what documents should be added to the system, and they're always looking for user feedback at the OSBA regarding OhioDocs. And so if you've got documents that you would like to see added, for example, you could send an email to ohiodocs-support@affinityconsulting.com, or you could always also reach out to the OSBA. If we go back to the OSBA webpage for OhioDocs, you'll see that their phone number under support. Let me log in here. Give me just a second. Sign in. Okay. So if I go to support, you'll see there's a phone number here for the Member Services Center for the OSBA. You can reach them at either 800-232-7124 or 614-487-8585. Get rid of that. So that's how you can suggest additional forms if what's available is not currently meeting your needs. Talk a very brief second about what you need to run OhioDocs. As you can see, I'm running OhioDocs on a Windows 10 system. It'll run on any Windows system XP or newer. So if you're using Windows XP 7, Windows 8, or Windows 10, it'll run on those. You also need a copy of Microsoft Word for Windows version 2003 or newer. I've got a couple different versions installed because I use this machine for development work, so I've got both Windows 10 and Word 10 and Word 2013 installed here. But you will need Microsoft Word for Windows version 2003 or newer, in addition to Windows XP or newer on the Windows operating system side. We get several questions regarding whether OhioDocs will run on a Mac. If you know what you're looking at on my screen, you'll see that I'm actually running Windows on top of my Mac, and then I'm running OhioDocs inside that. If you're comfortable doing virtual machines on a Macintosh, this would be with either Boot Camp, VMware Fusion, or Parallels, then yes, it will work. If none of those things meant anything to you, then stick with having a Windows computer, or give support a call at ohiodocs-support@affinityconsulting.com, and we can sort of walk you through how you might be able to make it work on a Mac. So OhioDocs is a yearly subscription service that is in addition to the Bar Association dues. The subscription runs from July 1st of a given year to June 30th of the following year. So the current subscription year that we're in right now is July 1st, 2015 through June 30th of 2016. What does the subscription include? It includes the OhioDocs templates that we walk through here on the left-hand side of the screen. It also includes the HotDocs player software, which is required to run OhioDocs. And it includes quarterly updates to templates. So we might, in any given quarter, there might be some additional templates that we've added to the set. There would be bug fixes, since of course it is computer software. There are bound to be bugs every so often. So those releases on the quarterly cycle come out in July, October, January, and April. How is the subscription price calculated? Well, let's go back to the OhioDocs website and take a look here. If you go to the subscriptions buy it page on the, again, the link being on the right-hand side of the ohiobar.org or ohiobar.org/OhioDocs, you can see a couple of things. One, down here at the bottom, is that the subscription price is based on the number of attorneys in your firm. And secondly, that there is also a $15 per computer licensing fee, and that licensing fee goes straight to OhioDocs. They are the folks that make the back-end engine that allows us to offer these templates. So they get $15 per computer, and then the OSBA charges for the templates on a number of attorneys in the firm basis. So, for example, if we were in July, say, 3 months ago, and you would want to sign up for OhioDocs, the price would have been $295 if you're in a two or three attorney firm. Let's say you're in a firm of that size. You've got, say, 2 attorneys, and you've also got 2 secretaries or paralegals. So you get a total of 4 people, 2 of whom are attorneys. Base price for OhioDocs for the whole year would be $295 plus $15 for each computer. So you've got 4 computers. So you're looking at $60 here and $295 here. So you're looking at a total of, what is that, $355? So $355 for 4 users in a 2-attorney firm. Now, since they do quarterly updates, the OSBA has set up a subscription model where each quarter there is a reduction in price. So, for example, right now we're in the October 1 to December 31st timeframe. So what we would do is we would take that, instead of being $295, you would get 25% off. So to do some quick math, we're going to take $295, take off 25%, and we're going to get $221.25. The $15 per computer fee does not change because, again, that goes straight to OhioDocs. So we're looking at $221.25 plus 60 gives us a total of $281.25. So if you were to sign up today, you're looking at, again, if you're in a 2-attorney firm with 2 secretaries or paralegals, 4 people total, you're looking at $281.25 for the subscription period running through June 30th of next year. Now, say you choose not to renew at the end of next year, or the end, June 30th of next year. Anything you created with the system will keep working, will work completely, totally fine. What the OhioDocs system generates are just completely native PDF or Word documents, depending on the template that you're using. So any documents you create will be completely usable as far into the future as PDF and Word documents are supported. There's no DRM, there's no locking of the documents to the software or anything like that. What it means if you didn't renew come July 1st of 2016 is simply that you wouldn't be able to create any new documents with the system. So just keep that in mind. There's no locking your documents into OhioDocs. Again, it creates just completely clean and native Word and PDF documents. So let's dive in with the 12 or so minutes we have left and run a couple of documents. I usually like to start with let's start with the will. That's a nice simple one, and everyone likes a basic will. So if we go ahead, I just clicked on the estate planning folder here to open it up, and then I clicked on the will. I can either double click on the will to start the interview, or I can click on the will once, and then click the assemble button. And then I'm asked to create an answer file. An answer file is where the data that you enter into OhioDocs is stored before that data is then dumped into a Word document or a PDF document. So let's go ahead and create a new answer file. And then the first thing that we're asked is, what kind of client do we have? Do we have an unmarried man, an unmarried woman, or a married couple? Let's go ahead and say married couple, and you'll see what happened. By selecting married couple, I've got a whole bunch of more questions within this interview, one of which is, who am I creating a document for? Am I creating the husband's will, or am I creating the wife's will? In addition, I'm asked questions that are relevant for him, so first, middle, last name, suffix if he has one. So this would be here for a man. It would not be here for a woman, of course. We've also got an AKA field and the date of birth. For her name, we've got the first, middle, last, the AKA field, and a date of birth. Now watch what happens if I click unmarried woman. You'll see all of the unnecessary questions disappeared. Since it's an unmarried woman, we're not going to ask anything about a man, and we're not going to ask who it's for, because if our client is a single individual, we already know who the will's for. That's one of the great advantages of a system like OhioDocs, is that it gives you questions and based on previous answers. So it doesn't ask you unnecessary questions. It doesn't make you tab through a bunch of stuff that you don't care about and that is not relevant to you. And instead, it presents only the questions that are particularly relevant for the document you're creating based on the answers that you gave it in previous dialogues. So by filling out this one, and let's say our client is Marge B. Simpson. And so we typed in her name, and now we can, if she's also known as something else, we could put that in. Let's put in a date of birth of 1/2/1979, for example. Then if we click on the next in our list of questions over here in the left-hand column, you'll see we can give her an address. So let's give her 742 Evergreen Terrace. Put her in Springfield. And it defaults to Ohio. You can, if you want, do a will for someone who's outside of Ohio, but again, we've defaulted it. I have no idea what the zip code is for Springfield, so I'm going to do the generic Columbus zip code. You can pick the county, so again, don't know where Springfield is, but let's just pick Franklin out of just to get something in there, and then we can put in a phone number. So let's say it's 555-121212. And if she had an alternate phone, say a cell phone or something like that, we can put that in. We can name her children. So let's say she's got a child named Bart Simpson, and he's got a date of birth of 1/2/2005, and he's male. If he happens to live at a different address than the client, if we click that, we could go ahead and add in his address and his phone number as well, if he had a different phone number. Again, it only shows relevant information based on your previous answers. So if we don't have a different address, it doesn't show us a whole bunch of junk that we don't care about. And we've got a nice add another button here. So let's add another child, and let's say her name is Lisa Simpson. And she was born on 1/2/2012. And she's female. And we're just going to skip Maggie because we've got other things to do. And so when I go down to the next set of options, it's other important people. So in the context of a will, for example, you might want to name executors or somebody to give a gift to or something like that. In this case, I think it's a simple will, so you're only going to be able to name either guardians or executors. There are no specific bequests contemplated in this will. So let's name another person, and let's say that this person is going to be Abraham. Helps if I could type. Abraham Simpson. And his relationship is father-in-law. And his phone number, we'll give him 555-130-1313. And then we're going to put him at 123 Retirement Way. And he's also going to live in Springfield, Ohio 43215. Again, faking the zip code. And then, so once we've added Abraham, we could go through and type in anyone we wanted in here. So if we wanted to, instead of adding other people here, we could go ahead and type in that we want for a guardian, we want maybe Marge's sister Selma to be the guardian. So we could type that in. We could also click here to select, and look, we could name a guardian from anyone that we've already entered. So let's say we want it to be Abraham. And when I double click on Abraham, his information comes right in, and I could name a successor guardian if I wanted to, but let's not in this case. And again, for the executor information, we could type it in. So if we wanted Marge's other sister, Patty, to be an executor, we could type that in. We could have also added Patty up here under the other important people. Or in the case of what we're going to do for our brief demonstration, we're just going to add Abraham back in again. So he's going to be both the guardian and the executor. And then the final question we have here is document execution information. So if we know when Marge is going to execute the will, let's do October 15th, 2015. So we've filled out that information. Then we go to the end of the interview. All we have to do is click finish. We've got a couple of unanswered questions. I'll tell you what those are. Those are the also known as for Marge, and probably the second phone number for Abraham. So we can ignore those. We can just go ahead and click OK. It will always let you generate a document even if you have some unanswered questions. And if we click in here, you see the document popped right into Microsoft Word. And we've got will of Marge B. Simpson. We've got the family. Again, we only entered 2 children, but it knows that we have 2 children, and it knows that it says children instead of child. And we've got Bart and Lisa listed here. And then we've got some boilerplate. Again, we had no option in this particular will to do anything with tangible personal property, except the boilerplate that comes with it. If we scroll on down to guardians, you'll see that we nominate Marge's father-in-law, Abraham Simpson, and it gives his location. And again, for executor, we nominated Abraham Simpson again, and it appears right in the will. And then when we scroll all the way down past the boilerplate for a normal will, we'll come down to our signature area, where we have the date that we entered in 15th of October, and it knows through math in the background of OhioDocs that it should be 15th instead of, if I typed in 31st, it would know to put an ST there after the 31. And we've got Marge's name on the signature line, and again, today's date that we entered, or the execution date, and Marge's name, and then we've got room for the 2 witnesses for the will. And again, this is just a normal Word document. So if you wanted to go up here after having run it through and answered the questions and come into OhioDocs, and come out of OhioDocs into Word rather, you could just hit the return key and you could start typing whatever you want. It's just a completely normal Word document. So you could make any edits you wanted. You could add provisions. You could delete provisions. You could create entire new articles if you wanted to. So that's an example of how to create a document in the OhioDocs system using the interview structure and working through a series of questions that only prompt you for the necessary information and don't require you to tab through a bunch of unnecessary fields to fill in what you need to create that one document. In addition to Microsoft Word documents, you'll see, for example, if we go down to the probate section, actually let me pop both of these open and I'll show you the difference. You'll see that the will that we just created together is a blue icon, and the documents for the estate administration for probate are yellow icons. The only difference between those two is that any yellow icon you see in the system produces a PDF document, so something you would open with Adobe Acrobat. So if, for example, I wanted to do an application to probate will, I could again just highlight it and either double click it or just click the assemble button. And it comes up again, we've got our answer file prompt, so let's go ahead and create a new one. And so I'm going to fill in a little bit of information. Let's do Adams County. Let's make it Judge Smith and case number 12345. And you could go through and you could fill in, of course, the decedent, relevant information about the decedent. You could fill in the applicant information, attorney information, and different types of service for this document. But you'll see I've got a new tab up here that says Form Documents. If I click on the Form Document, you see it's got the Adams County that I entered, and it's got the case number. And it looks just like a PDF. And when I click Finish here, instead of it, again, we've got a bunch of unanswered questions because I didn't answer any questions other than the name. If I click OK, you'll see that the document, instead of going into Microsoft Word, comes into my PDF reader of choice. In my case, that's a program called Nuance Power PDF, but it works with Adobe, it works with Fox, it works with all the PDF programs that are out there. And this is just a normal PDF document, so any editing or changes that you would do or feel comfortable doing in a PDF document, normally you could do to a PDF document that came out of the OhioDocs system. So this is really a great tool for speeding up your practice, for making clean documents that are correct the first time. If you think about how most people go about creating a Word document, they go in, they grab whatever they think is the most recent one, they start changing pronouns, they change clients, they hopefully get the verb tenses right, they hopefully at least started with something that's relatively recent. God forbid you start with something that's 2 or 3 versions back, and then you've got to start adding, finding other documents to add that language from. With the OhioDocs system, and really any document assembly system, you've got the power of having a gold standard template to start from. So you don't have to go around and scrounge up and look up where, what was the last will I did and what provisions did I have and what do I have to change. We've got gold standard wills in here. We've got gold standard OSBA, living will, and healthcare powers of attorney. All you have to do is answer the questions. It does all the verb conjugations. It includes the right provisions. It excludes provisions that you want to exclude, puts it all together, and shoots it into Microsoft Word or Adobe PDF without you having to do anything else. So hopefully that gives you a brief overview in the 30 minutes that we had of why document management and document assembly with OhioDocs can be helpful for your practice. I generally conclude these with some advice on how to get in contact with us or with the OSBA. If you have any questions about the technical issues regarding OhioDocs or whether your system might be able to run it, or if you need some question beyond what the document list might provide on the website, feel free to drop us a line at ohiodocs-support@affinityconsulting.com, and we'll be able to answer your question. If you have any questions about basically anything money related or subscription related, please get in contact with the OSBA. Their member service center is available to you at 800-232-7124, and they can answer any questions about payment or licensing or how many copies you might need based on some unique circumstances in your firm. And of course, always remember that we've got from October 1st to December 31st, there's a 25% off proration on these prices. And of course, you can see if you wait till January, the proration is different, and then in the April timeframe, the proration is different again. So hopefully that was a nice overview and got you interested to think about the OhioDocs system. Again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or just give the OSBA a call. And if it's a question that they need us, the developers, to take a look at, they will certainly forward that on to us. I really appreciate your time. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. And thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Have a good day. Bye.